Hi, welcome to my office. And this was actually my old dining room, and I converted it into my office about 2 years ago. And this was actually my dining room table. I took a leaf out and I made it into my desk. So that's where I write my blog in the winter. In the summer, I write my blog outside. I actually have like a little mini meditation garden. So in the summer, I'll go out there on Saturday mornings, and that's where I write my blog. And I also hang my art here, although I create my art at my kitchen table, but this is where I hang it all. So this is my little space that I kind of took over in the house and kind of made it my own. I painted the walls, and me and my husband went shopping and we got a nice rug for in here. So it just became my area and my space. And I know a lot of the people that follow me are my age and kind of transitioning, their kids, they're empty nesters, their kids are gone off to college and they're looking for something for themselves. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my background, how I got to this space that I'm in. What I did is I was kind of at a point that I was kind of lost of what to do next. And so I started going to a lot of like meetup groups. I don't know if you know Meetup, it's an app on your iPhone, and then you can plug in what you're interested in. And for me, I just kind of plugged in like midlife group, women's group, creative groups, just anything like that. So then when those groups come up that match what you're looking for, you just get a notification that the Meetup app says to you, hey, you might be interested in this group. And so that's how I started, just kind of putting myself out there and going to different midlife groups, different women's gatherings, I guess, and just seeing what stuck and what didn't. There was quite a few things that didn't stick, and that didn't resonate with me, but I just made a pact with myself to take it in, that there was a lesson no matter what happened, no matter if I got there and didn't relate to anybody, that there was a lesson in that too. And I did have that happen a couple times, but instead of being disgruntled or angry or like, oh, I wasted my time, I would just take it in because I'd made that commitment, and I would just say, okay, what did I learn from that? What do I want to do next time? And then the good thing about the meetup groups is that you don't have to go back. There's no commitment. If you go once and you're like, okay, this isn't for me, then you just don't go again. So there's no hurt feelings. There's no, most of the time you don't really have to pay. Sometimes they'll charge like maybe $20 or $10 for certain groups. But most of the time you don't have to pay. So it's just zero commitment. And that's what I liked about it. I didn't want, to have to explain myself of why I didn't want to go back. I just wanted to test things out. If I didn't like them, I didn't have to go. But in doing that, I actually did come across a really great group of women, and four of those, or three of them, it ended up being four of us all together, kept in contact after the bigger group. It was a couple weeks that the bigger group was all together at the meetup. And then the four of us, along with the teacher, just started doing like mini sessions because we all just resonated with each other. And it was through that group that I gained a lot of my confidence to get a space for myself. I didn't even know I needed a space for myself. I knew I needed something, but I didn't know that's what it was. But the other two women that are my friends now, Jen and Jackie, they were looking for spaces for themselves. And one of them is actually an artist. And she was looking to get her own art studio. And my friend Jackie was just looking for a space like an office in her house. And I remember we had all been talking about it, and we were all very just open and honest in our feelings, which was great. And we all felt protected. We didn't feel like anyone was going to, be mean to each other. It was a very safe space. So we just shared from our heart, and we cried a lot. And so it was great. But I remember after one particular session, they were talking about getting your own space. And I was driving home, and I just thought, I don't have my own space. I don't, and I'm not blaming anyone. It was just, I'd never claimed a space. I'd never even thought about having a space. It was a thought that never entered my mind, but after talking to them, I thought, I really do need a space that is just mine, that I can just set up my stuff, have my thoughts, have my journals out, and just kind of a space to have my stuff so I can decide, what my next move is, what I want to do. So I remember I drove home that day, and this dining room we hardly ever used. We used to use it more when Emily was younger, and we'd have Thanksgivings and things like that. But it just seemed like we were traveling a lot more during the holidays, and we weren't really here. And so the room was maybe used once or twice a year, and so I thought, I'm just going to take this over. And I already had my yoga mat in here. I did yoga every morning in here, and I just thought I'm gonna not only make it my yoga studio, which I still do yoga here in the morning, but I'm going to turn it into my office. And so that's when I took the dining room table. I took a leaf out. I just set it up as my office. We commissioned someone to paint it, and my husband helped me, move everything around and make it into my space. And he was all for it. So then I went out and I bought a computer, and I figured out how to use the computer. And then with the encouragement of my meetup group and some other friends, they encouraged me just to start a blog and just to get myself out there. And it was weird because at the meetup group, one of the other people, not Jen or Jackie, was talking about how hard it was to set up a blog. And I remember just thinking, like, is it really that hard? For some reason that stuck with me. And so I was curious how hard it was. And so, of course, I had to figure it out and start up a blog myself. And so it was difficult in the beginning to figure out how to use WordPress and to set up a website. But I did figure it out, and I spent a lot of hours in this office just calling. I go through GoDaddy, so I called GoDaddy a lot. I figured out how to set up the WordPress. I don't think it's exactly perfect even now, but it works. And a lot of people read my blog, a lot of people comment on my blog. And so it's from there, I actually joined a blogging group on Facebook that I found out through Instagram. And so all those women have come into my life too. And in talking to them about, what I've been going through, claiming my space and wanting to speak my truth, so many of you that are listening to this, you resonate with my story of kind of doing everything for everybody else, as, a wife and then as a mother. I think you just automatically do that. You don't even think that you shouldn't be doing that. You just kind of this is your family. You want the best for your family. So you just kind of fall into that mode of doing that. And then you get to a point where you're kind of feel a little empty from just giving all the time. And I think that's where midlife comes in. And that's when we need to reclaim ourselves again and reclaim that energy again and do something for ourselves. And I honestly believe that. I think if we as women were meant to have babies until we were 70 or 80, we would have been given that ability. And I think there's a reason that we go through menopause and that we are, physically can't have babies, is because we're meant to do something else. And we're only 50s, most of the time 40, 50s when that change happens. And so we have another 30 years of our lives to do something. And I think what we're supposed to do there is help all the younger women, girls especially, but all the younger children, and set an example of what can be done with that time. I think all the energy from the women that I've met, that I know, all on Instagram, all on Facebook, all in my life, are such amazing women with amazing experiences that all that needs to be shared and put out into the world. And I started, obviously doing that myself. And so I didn't know that would turn into my mission in life, is to encourage others to do the same. Because as I started doing it, my whole world changed. I've never gotten such amazing positive feedback from people and just encouragement, and I've never felt more myself since I've been doing it. And it's just a simple thing of, claiming a space, putting your words out there, just living authentically, just has changed my life completely and made me feel more fulfilled. And I think it's made me a better wife and a better mother, because I'm not looking to my family to fulfill that. I'm not giving everything to them and saying, "Okay, now that I've given everything to you, you have to be the perfect family, and you have to fulfill my needs." So I think me just taking care of myself and just doing something for myself um, allows me to be happier and to be a better person in our family. So I think I just wanted to encourage, anyone who's on the fence about creating a blog or doing artwork. I just really want to encourage you to go for it, because we need all that energy out there. And for me, I mean, I have about 2,000 followers on Instagram, and they're all just mostly my age and just amazing, amazing women. And they see me putting my artwork out there, and many of them have, direct messaged me and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm an artist too. And how did you just start putting your art out there?" And they're curious, and they think their art isn't good enough, but then they show it to me, and it's absolutely amazing art. And I believe that art needs to be out in the world, that expression needs to be out in the world. It's so important to get that out there, and the story behind that art is even more important. The story of why, they're creating what they're creating. A lot of them are creating women like me, and the women have expressions, sometimes tears, sometimes happiness, sometimes, they're scared, the expressions on their face. So I know there's a story behind their art. And I would encourage all of you to tell your story either through your art or through a blog. Um, it's amazing, and it's amazing how you connect, and all the women, not only in our country, but all over the world, feel the same way. I started selling my art, and I've sold my art to people in Hungary. I've sold my art to people in women in Australia, to women in Canada, and all over the country. I've sold my art. I've sold my art to ladies in Michigan, in New York, in LA. So, like, all over the world, women are feeling the same way. And so I think it's important that we all just learn to express ourselves and to not be scared to put ourselves out there. And one last thing I just want to share with you is, I know that it's scary, but I can tell you from my experience, the people that I was most scared to kind of show my artistic side to were my coworkers. I work in finance, and it's very, conservative. And I thought, if I start, like, telling my whole truth on a blog and putting my art out on Instagram, I just didn't know. I thought they'd think I was weird. I thought they would judge me. They have been the most supportive people ever. And I recently had an art show, and so many of them showed up. So many of them are happy for me. So many of them want me to draw a picture for them, and they're excited for me. So the reason I tell you this is because you have preconceived notions in your head of how people are going to act when you put yourself out there, but they could be completely wrong. And the very people that you think are going to judge you will be the very people that will be your biggest supporters, and you don't know that until you try and do it. So I'm telling you that from what I learned, which has been amazing, and I feel like I have so much amazing support. And I just want to also show you, I created a book with all my art from last year. And the reason I created this is because all my art is on my computer. And I just thought, well, it's going to stay on my computer, and, 5 years from now, I'm not going to go back and look on my computer and be looking at artwork. I don't think. Chances are I won't. But if I create a book, then I will. And I did this mostly for myself, but also there's Sherry, and there's some women I drew pictures of, and I created just a book just to have it mostly for myself. And I also had this at my art show just to show people, what other type of art I create besides the queens. And this one right here, that was actually, these are bigger pieces in real life. But I created that. Someone commissioned me to create that for their family room. So I did that, and they're hanging in their family room in really beautiful frames. So these are the things, if you would have asked me even a year ago, you know, would I have a book like this with all my art in it? I would have thought you were absolutely insane. And so these are where, if you put yourself out there, where things can lead to. And the other thing I have are just these beautiful little 5x7s. And you can't really see them because they're in the plastic. But I'll show you the bigger one of her. This is one of the ones I had at my show. And I really like her with the little doggies. But all of these women mean something to me. And I just have so much fun creating them. And I never would have thought, that having so much fun doing something that's such a passion to me, I never thought that other people would be excited about too. And this is just a little 5x7 of her. So I think that's really cute to hang somewhere. And then I also do like these little greeting cards. And that's Queen Emily. I named her after my daughter. And those are just blank inside. So all of the merchandise I created because I want to spread what I have learned and the joy I feel from being creative. I want to spread that to everyone else. And I want anyone who decides to purchase my art or look at my art, just to feel happy and just to feel that there are possibilities out there, that, we're in midlife, but we're just beginning. And I like to call myself the emerging midlife artist. They always say emerging artists, they want them to be in their 20s and stuff like that, which is great. And there's some wonderful, wonderful artists in their 20s. And anyone who's an artist at any age, it's great. But I just feel like they're not really looking for a 54-year-old woman as an emerging artist. But I am going to call myself the emerging midlife artist because that is what I am. And that is what you may be too. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will be talking to you soon.